Hello everyone and welcome to AXA's Future Fest. My name is Annette Burgdorf. I'm a French-German journalist and I'm very happy and honored to be the moderator of this live event. So thank you for joining this live webinar that AXA has organized in the context of the Future Fest. So in this third edition of AXA's Learning Week, the focus of this festival of learning is tech and data and its impact on the future of your business. So our topic today is the future of insurance and how are tech and data reshaping the insurance sector. The open learning event is designed to explore how AXA, and I would say the insurance sector as a global, is transforming itself, leveraging on new technologies and data. So, how does it go? I'm in the studio here in Paris. I'm alone. I'm missing you, I can say. And you, all the speakers, are connected with us and you, everybody here listening to us. I will first interview my guest during 40 minutes and you can ask your questions whenever you want on the website axa.com during the live, and you can win as well prizes. Just look please now at the screen to know how it works and what you can win. So, sorry, but only AXA employees can win prizes, but anyone can ask questions. As you might know, at AXA, it is important to contribute to digital sustainability and to raise awareness on the environmental impact generated by the digital information systems, services and infrastructures. That's why by winning prizes, you will contribute to neutralize the carbon footprint generated during the event by planting the future digital forest in collaboration with Freedom. And now it's time to introduce my three international speakers. So we are connected with Romana Ibrahim. She is CEO and co-founder of Keep Warranty, a highly successful application that enables to choose insurance cover with digital technology. Romana is an ambassador in Angola for Women in Tech, and Women in Tech is an international organization helping women to embrace tech. She was also named Founder of the Year 2018 by Women in Tech. And Romana, she's also partner in Smart Consult, a cyber security company. And she's also an international speaker at technology and high finance forums. So hello, Romana, who is connected with us from Angola, Luanda. Hello.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Annette, for your introduction. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And yes, I am in Luanda, Angola, with you from all over the world.
Great. So from Angola to Germany now with Thilo Schumacher. Thilo is head of health at AXA Konzern in Germany. He has been a member of the board of directors of AXA Germany since 2012, first for the strategy and organization division, and since the beginning of 2015 for health insurance. He joined AXA Germany in 2006 in the sales department and was head of this department for 2 years. Hallo Thilo, schön, dass Sie heute dabei sind.
Yeah, good morning everybody from Germany. So we have spoken to each other before. I can offer you a gray weather, but I will not show you. So let's concentrate on this the seminar, the webinar, and I'm looking forward to that.
Danke, Thilo. Last but not least, Hassan Shabrawishi from Egypt. So Hassan is a multi-entrepreneur. He's today CEO of AXA Africa Health and Strategic Development Officer for Africa since January 2018. Hassan was previously the Chief Innovation Officer for AXA Group and CEO and founder of AXA Next, dedicated for business model innovation. In 2016, he was selected as one of the top 10 economic young leaders in Africa by Institut Choiseul. And today Hassan is developing AXA's healthcare delivery arm in Africa and leading health services across emerging markets. Hello, Hassan.
Hello, Annette, and a pleasure to be with you and a pleasure to be with the great speakers we have today. I look forward to this panel and to this exciting discussion. Thank you.
So great. Thank you again. Thank you very much for being with us today. So I suggest before we dive deep into the topic of how tech and data reshape the insurance sector, let's perhaps first define the terms. What is behind tech and data so that everybody understands what it is all about, because I think we are not all experts. So what is tech and data applied today in insurance, and in a nutshell, what is it for? Romana, perhaps would you like to start?
Sure, thank you. Well, tech and data, they are the present, they will be the future. That's a no-brainer for all of us in all the areas that we act. Now we will apply them, and we are applying them in the insurance area to make sure that the insurance makes part of everybody's life every day, and that we use it in a constant way, in very easy and fast way as well.
Okay, Romana, perhaps Hassan and Thilo, to go in more details, tech and data, what is it for? Is it just to create new insurance business models or new products to maximize efficiency? What do you think? Hello, Hassan?
I think, Annette, maybe, to add on what Romana said, I mean, to make the life of people easier every day, I think, the session or the idea of tech and data should open our minds on the amount of opportunities we have in this industry with the availability of new technology, things that we would not have been able to do before that we're now able to do, because your customers are now expecting from us an Amazon experience in the way they interact with us. And I believe that we should be very open as an industry to see how can we embrace these new technologies in changing all what you said. I mean, in changing our business model, but also in changing our current model and improving it so that we can face new needs from customers and we can actually solve more pain points that we were not able to solve in the past. So for me, tech and data, in summary, is an opportunity for our industry to rejuvenate itself and meet new customer needs.
Yeah, okay, what I understand from you is this is really to improve customer services, to deliver better services. It can change business models. What do you think, Thilo, about mitigate insurance risks?
Yeah, maybe, talking about data, so data is nothing new for us. So our actuaries work with data for a lot of years. But what is different now and will be much more different in the future is, the amount of data, the availability of data, and the accuracy and, actuality of data. And so that and the technology, and this is where tech comes into play, that we can combine our data, what we have in our systems, coming from our, his history, with external data to increase predictability and accuracy of pricing and of services and so on. But for me, the main thing, and then I come to your question regarding risk. The main thing is that tech and data helps us, to focus the expensive human being interactions so that people talk to each other, that we can talk to our clients, that we can SWOT our clients to situations where they really matter. And there's always the question, okay, is tech and data, the end of insurance employees? I would say definitely not. The role might a little bit change, but human being as part of insurance is still the core, because there's a lot of situations where it matters whether you talk to a machine or you talk to a human being. And the risk side, of course, I mean, we talk about cyber risk, we talk about health demand increase. There are a lot of things we might cover during the webinar. Which of course has a big impact of our future business, and we need to be very careful and need to manage that in order to remain relevant and to keep a situation where customer can afford insurance covers.
Okay, so you think that tech and data is a tool or is a mean to improve services. Just perhaps Hassan and Romana, one precise example of data and tech in the insurance industry today?
Well, we use people's
to better understand, you know, the definition of tech and data, very precise.
In terms of technology itself, it varies from artificial intelligence, from machine learning, deep learning, the combination of all these sciences and the way we produce new innovative ways of giving people products that really give them a new way of how insurance is. In the way we were born, and a decade ago, we would contract insurance with paper and amounts of paper, and nowadays we have new ways of doing the same, and what we are doing in the next years is exactly evolving this based on technology.
Okay, Hassan, would you like to? Okay. Any precise example illustrating the importance or what is tech and data today in the insurance sector?
Of course. So, you know, being in Africa, you know, agriculture remains to be a huge part of our economies. And when you take, you know, potential weather changes and the impact on this on farmers, pricing risk was extremely difficult in the past, given that data was very limited and not very particular or specific on specific areas. Today, we have a whole team working on what we call parametric insurance, which is bringing weather data, being able to mix it with a specific piece of land and knowing exactly the risk profile of that piece of land in a much more accurate way than in the past. This allows us to price risk better, allow much more farmers or even you know, societies to manage their risks better, and then weave or be able to be better protected against those risks with prices that we wouldn't have imagined, I would say, a few years ago. I wouldn't even talk 10 years ago. I would say even a few years ago. So that makes it data more precise, pricing that is better for them, and then we can protect more people than.
Okay, thank you. I think we better understand what is behind these terms. Now, looking at ahead to the next 10 years, it means it's very large, or 5 years. What do you think will be the major changes in the area? Do you think that insurance will still exist as we know it today? Thilo, you mentioned risks. What do you see? What kind of new risks do you see?
You know, the question, Annette, as you asked, was, will insurance exist, will it remain? The answer is still yes. Because there's so many risks which an individual or a company can never fully cover. And I would like to give you an example which exists, and these kind of treatments will increase in the near future. So a lot of you have probably heard about Zolgensma. Zolgensma is a very powerful medication, but it costs about 2 million per treatment, 2 million euro per treatment. What it does, it heals spinal muscular atrophy. So just imagine you need to pay that from your private wealth. I would say probably for all of us, it's impossible to pay. But, you know, for a group or for society, let's say, or a company who covers, you know, a lot of people, this is possible. And I think insurance matters in a situation where an individual cannot cover a specific risk, but the group can. So this will remain. This will not change at all. The question for me is regarding insurance. Will only insurance companies, like big ones like us, like AXA, will remain? Or what about, you know, peer-to-peer insurance? What about more captives, what we see? And the only way we can stay relevant is, you know, that we do more than just paying the claims. And in the health space, but also in P&C space, I think prevention is much more relevant in the future, that people see, you know, our customers sees the relevance, that, you know, they don't only have an insurance cover, that if something happens, you know, we pay, but we support the customer, because nobody, you know, opts for a claim. And let's say to find if something just breaks, find the best craftsman, or in health insurance, find the best doctor. The next best offer, not only insurance cover, but next best offer regarding services. And we can do that if we use all the data what we currently already have, but with the data which is externally available, to combine that and to do that and be more relevant for the future. This is, I think, highly relevant. And then, it's not a question whether insurance will remain. It definitely will remain, but also insurance like today, if we change, will remain.
Of course, insurance will remain, but how? How will the business model evolve? And perhaps, Romana, if you would like to add something about, do you think that insurance will have the same role as it has today?
Insurance is evolving, and picking up what Thilo was mentioning, the relevancy that it has for people. Whenever we are contracting an insurance, our aim is never to claim it. We hope never to claim it, because that's never a good sign. But we want to have the trust from the insurance company that they will be there for us, and that they are offering the best service that is there for us, and it was made for us. And that's what the future is bringing us. The products that are more and more made for the needs that me, Romana, have, or that you, Annette, have, according to your habits, according to Thilo's habits, according to Hassan's habits. And that's where the insurance industry will make the biggest difference in the forwarding years.
I can see, Hassan, that you're moving your head. Yeah. So do you agree with Romana, Hassan? And how do you see future competitors, for example, challenging the insurance sector?
So no, I fully agree with what Thilo and Romana mentioned. I mean, the future of insurance will remain, but will remain more on being more service-driven, where even risk will become a byproduct of the service, and the service itself would be what people are procuring or buying. The fact of only buying risk will completely disappear, and both Thilo and Romana spoke about this, and I fully agree with that. On your other question of competitors, Annette, I mean, today our competitors are not the traditional ones that we have. I mean, insurance is even sold on a more what I call embedded basis than before. Many of us will buy an Apple Care or an Amazon Prime. All of these are new forms of insurance that are very different than the ones that we knew of today. Not even being labeled as insurance, but you're still buying them. And I think the future will not be, it's not about, buying an insurance policy as we know it today. It is forms of protection that is much better embedded within a customer experience that meets much more specific needs. And that will be the future of insurance, not only the regulatory insurance, but I would say the demand-driven insurance. And our competitors are, some of the names I've mentioned, where at least in AXA, we don't see them anymore as competitor. We see them as potential partners, where we actually can work with them so that we can offer them our knowledge with their customer experience, and we can offer them an embedded journey so that we can have basically better service, as we discussed in the first part of the.
Okay, so what I understand, you see this T&D is really an opportunity for the insurance sector. Do you see any other opportunities, for example, concerning collaboration with external actors of this ecosystem, or what else? What could you see as an opportunity?
Annette, I think Hassan mentioned a very important point, that he said the competitors are not insurers, are others. And we need to learn, to collaborate, to partner with our main competitor of the past, because they're not the main competitor of the future. And for example, in Germany, we've built a platform where we've combined 50% of the private health insurance market as a joint platform. Every of us, or every insurance company owns a share of it. I'm building a platform against the Amazon and Googles of this world, together with the main competitors, Of course, we compete on new business, but you do not compete on services, because on the services side, we're all very, very small, and we have to, to build a relevant scale to be able to compete against Amazon, Google, Apple, or the others. And this is, I think, what we have to learn. If we don't do that, if we don't adapt, we will be dead. And I completely agree what Hassan has said on that.
Romana, yeah, would you like to add, or I would like to ask you more a question about the risks. How do you see the risks? Because we mentioned there you have to handle a tremendous amount of data. Okay, and this is, I think, a very tricky part, because do you see any special issues that insurance companies should consider in the area of data privacy and cybersecurity? Thilo mentioned cybersecurity issues, so how do you see this?
Well, the security and the cybersecurity area is a very important one, and mainly in the insurance industry, where we collect so much information about people, and we collect information from many areas, since health, house, and many more. It is very important to have these areas all very organized and very protected, and these come, of course, from the main offices, and how they are controlled with the partnerships that they have with cyber security companies that provide them the services. But there's one thing that is cybersecurity services, and how an insurance company is protecting the information of their clients, and another thing is how they use the data of their clients in order to provide their clients a better service. And sometimes, Annette, there is a big misunderstanding between the two things, and it is very important that we explain to everyone that if we don't use people's data, we can never give them a better service. And using people's data does not mean that we are providing their data to other players. It means that we are using their data internally to understand what they are doing, to understand what are their habits, to understand what are their needs, and to make sure that we are creating better products that are adjusted to what will fit them the best way.
Of course, I understand, but for example, if you use data, if the patient is transparent, there is a need of trust in this partnership between a patient or between the client and between the company.
There is, but most of all, I will need to go back in that. What is wrong in this set and in this roadmap of information is the way the information goes to people. And in this world of information that goes from everywhere and is everywhere, is exactly that people do not understand this, and the information is not passed correctly. And this is so important, because when people think about that data protection, they immediately say, okay, I don't want anyone to use my data, and that's it. But the moment they understand they will not have any better service if I don't have an usage of their data, immediately they will say, no, but I want that, because it means that I will take advantage of it. So it is very important to give people an important message of what is the privacy of their data, meaning I'm not using their data to other companies and providing that data to other companies, selling their data, securing the data in terms of the company itself, and using the data to provide and to create new products according to their needs.
Okay, thank you. Hassan, do you think that the topic of data ethics is the same everywhere in the world, or how do you see this in your area? You're in Egypt, but you're responsible for AXA Africa.
No, I think it's very different. I think Europeans are much more sensitive when it comes to data privacy than I would say Africa or Asia. From what I've seen and from the discussions I had with several clients, but what I've seen in common in all of everyone is exactly what Romana mentioned. I mean, people want a trustful service based on the data they provide you with, and if they get a benefit out of it, then they're happy to share their data, and they even share more data than what you expect, because the owner of data is the client. And when you know that each and every person owns their data, no one else but them, because there is a whole governance and ethics to your question around data, and I always tell people, it's the customer who owns their data. They use it as they want to, and they get benefit from it as they want to. I put my address on Google Maps, and many people in Africa, because, we have a big issue of traffic in Africa, and especially in cosmopolitan, big urban cities like Cairo or Lagos, where you really have big numbers of people. And we all put our work address, we put our home address voluntarily, because Google provide me with a faster way to reach my destination by avoiding traffic. Here, I think I share my data because I get a benefit out of it, and this is exactly what the relationship should evolve in the future. But to your point, yes, I mean, not all regions are as sensitive to data privacy as it is the case in France, for example.
And yes, we have in France and in Europe we have the GDPR, and we have to comply with that. So I would like, because you mentioned already the health sector, which is really, I think, the sector which is one of the most impacted sectors by tech and data in recent years. Just when we look at some key figures of teleconsultations, really exploded during the lockdown, and it has become really part of our daily life. So, and I think this is really a strategic issue for the insurance industry. So my question, Thilo, perhaps if you would like to start, how is and will health being transformed by tech and data? How will healthcare be transformed?
I think for me, the most impressive example is when you think about illnesses and diseases. There are about more than 30,000 diseases existing, and of the 30,000, about 8,000 to 9,000 are orphan diseases. And a normal normal GP might see about 1,000 during his career, maybe 1,500. So the probability that if you have not a normal flu, that you get the incorrect treatment is significant. And here, I think the beauty of tech and data comes into play, not to replace the doctor, but to support the doctor, to help him to find out what is the real issue, what is the real illness and disease, and what is the best treatment. And, in the old world, and we are still in this old world, is, we go to the doctors and we expect that the doctor knows everything what he needs to know to treat me perfectly. And there's another number which says about only 5% of a specific, theme complex within the medical space can be adopted by a human being doctor, and 95% is somewhere else. So it's in a database, but it's never been received by that doctor. And we need to support the healthcare treatment by AI, by data and tech. The only way we can do that is to bring the data sources together, because today, of course, every kind of medical data is stored somewhere, different data standards, different places. They're not connected to each other. They're not able to communicate to each other. And we have to bring that together in order to improve delivery of healthcare. And this improvement, has two impacts. First, it will improve, the quality of delivery of healthcare. On the other hand, it's a risk for the insurance side, because the question is, what is now, if we pay for, the medical outcome, do we need to pay more? Will it be more expensive? And will the demand, not only increase, but also supply? Today, the doctor
there is
works
a risk,
or
there is a questioning who is responsible when the diagnosis has been made by artificial intelligence. Who is responsible for that? There's a question of responsibility.
Exactly. So it depends country by country. In some countries, it's a digital kind of medical asset. It's the same, the same law applies like for a pharmaceutical pill. So that's why, you as the provider are liable for that. But my point is, first of all, I think it should be a supporting instrument for the doctor so that the doctor remains reliable for, the kind of treatment, but he gets support by taking data. And this is, I think, the key driver, because I mentioned at the beginning, we need to focus, to concentrate the human beam interactions, to things where it really matters. So at least, at the end, the doctor should decide today, maybe in 5 or 10 years is it different, but today that's the case. But he needs to get the support from all the sources which are theoretically available, but today not. That's, I think, one of the major driver things that will change in the future.
And Hassan, what do you think about this support of artificial intelligence in the diagnosis? How do you see these challenges? What is doing a T&D in the healthcare sector?
Look, I mean, this is an industry that I'm now, managing healthcare delivery in Africa, as you've mentioned at the beginning. So I will answer you in a very structured manner. So I'm extremely proud of, my team in AXA One Health, because we have, dedicated medical doctors that asked exactly the same question. How will the healthcare transform in the future? And not to make it subjective, because, these answers could be very subjective. We developed a very structured approach to look at, what are the technologies there, and we looked at nanotechnology, we looked at robotics in operations that could be done in a much more precise way. We looked at 5G, we looked at all of this, and we chose basically 3 main technologies that will change the future based on 3 criteria. The first one is, what is the extent of it becoming real? How is it going to be accessible to the people in reality? And what is the potential impact on people and healthcare? And we've summarized this into 3 main ones. One is health trackers, wearables that are today, available everywhere. You can do an ECG. All of us, have trackers, Apple Watch, that take much more vital sciences than you could ever imagine. And it's, evolving very, very quickly. Artificial intelligence, as Thilo mentioned, and I would say genome sequencing. And we try to really make a difference between what is really science fiction and what is real today. So we started by creating a digital health team fully dedicated to looking at wearables. And this is why I changed my background. So just behind you, I'm sitting in one of the clinics that we have here in Cairo. And just behind me, there is something called HealthPod, this box that you see, this digital box that you see. This is a client can enter this without meeting any physical doctor. A screen will open. They will be able to take vital sciences on their own, with a glucometer, a blood pressure device, connected blood pressure device, an ECG, breath respiration. So this is actually happening, where all of these vital sciences are being taken live without even seeing the customer, and in the past, you have to go to a hospital when you need care. Now the patient is the point of care. And we believe that, imagine, the future where, all of this data will be better used for the benefit of the customer. It will completely transform how healthcare is being provided in a much more accurate way than today. So I hope I give you concrete example on this.
Great, thank you, Hassan. And Romana, let's focus on the customer. We mentioned many times the customer. How do you think T&D is impacting the customer's expectations and experience?
Well, it's impacting totally. We can go back to March when the pandemic started, or when our life started changing with the pandemic, with COVID-19. And all of a sudden, online appointments with doctors were available. And this just happened, and this availability just happened because the technology was there and because everybody was so fast adapting to technology. And the data, it was also available to be there. And every time I was connecting with my doctor, or whatever doctor was there to consult me, he had my data. So things were happening, and things happened, and now they are happening even faster. At Keep Warranty, for instance, in our app, we just developed a new insurance that we will release in a few weeks for people with that might have cancer, just because of the employment rate that went very up in the last month, and because it's one of people's worries that they might have cancer, and the costs that they have with cancer, because they're also very, very high. And we are not concentrating in the treatment itself, because we have a national support in terms of the disease itself, but giving people some money that they can use for other treatments, for the costs that they will have in their daily life in case this happen. So bringing up new products, bringing up new solutions for people in a fast way is exactly what people are expecting, and it's exactly what we as providers of new services need to do as fast as possible. And it's that's something that, Annette, we can only do when startups are working with insurance companies, with the reinsurance groups, in a constant way. Otherwise, alone, we can't do anything.
Okay, focusing on younger generations, Generation Z, for example, their service expectations are real-time, personalized services, trusted, secure. Do you think that TD can really help you meet these expectations? Thilo or Romana? Yeah.
Absolutely, it's the only way. I remember when I got out of my parents' house and to study in France, where I did my doctorate studies, and I went to France, and I had to take care of my insurance for my car, and I had to call my parents. How do I take care of this? Because it was with papers. And nowadays we have everything within my phone. I can take care of everything with my phone, and things happen. And even if I want to click in and click out, I can do it. And we are doing it. And the new generations, I see it from my kids. They are 12 and 14. They are the ones telling me, you know, we can do this now, and we can turn it off because we are going for snowing, or there's also this new product. They are the ones now providing themselves with insurance in a way that makes part of their lives. It's not just the insurance for the house, or the health insurance, or the insurance for the car. They are taking it in a way that insurance is part of life. Insurance is part of what they want, and in a daily routine. And that's exactly the future of what we are building here.
Yeah, Thilo, do you agree with Romana, or do you see a new profile of customers, and what are their opportunities and risks perhaps for them?
You know, I think Hassan mentioned 15 minutes ago something. He called it embedded insurance. So, you know, if nobody wants to buy a car insurance, somebody wants to drive a car, and you need insurance. So, you know, we need to be much closer to, you know, the customer needs, you know, what they really want to achieve, which is driving a car or mobility. You know, it's even probably more precise. And then, you know, to protect. So, you know, we are a partner of BlaBlaCar, so that if you use somebody who drives you, you're protected. And these kind of things will dramatically increase in the next years, to be there where it really matters. And of course, it has to be in the smartphone. Everybody runs around with that phone, that's clear, as Romana has said. But what I really think remains, and I mentioned that, is there's some kind of interaction where the human being matters. So even our kids, so my kids are 11, 14, you know, they ask each other. They don't do it via phone or meet, but they do chat. But at the end, they ask a person, they ask somebody they trust. And you know what insurance need to achieve is to be trustworthy, to need somebody, you know, people want to go if they have an issue, wants to know it. And the same applies for agents, or brokers in the field. So probably car insurance can be bought somewhere. But the question is, if something really severe happens, where do you go? And that's why I totally agree what Hassan has said is, the business shifts from, selling covers to providing service. So the cover remains the core of what we do, because that's the core of the service. But, at the end, the customer asks about service, not about the cover. If we understand that, then, we remain relevant as the big incumbent insurers. If we don't, we have an issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hassan, if you would like to add, it's all about a real partnership, and a real partnership brings trust.
Yes, I mean, I will not add to what Romana and Thilo mentioned, because I genuinely agree with them, not just to say it, but I really agree with what they said, and I was really nodding and very happy to hear what they said. But one thing I will add is that also, in Generation Z, I mean, and my daughter makes part of this generation as well. I mean, she's 11, so she's almost a Generation Z, but, they care a lot now about companies that authentically care. And my daughter today, I would have never imagined this when I was a child, would tell me, I don't want to buy this brand because, they are not responsible, or they've done something to the climate. Or, I mean, that was not something that we were as much aware of in the past as this generation, that will choose companies who genuinely and authentically care. That is not by creating a foundation. That's not by doing nice slides, next to your business. That's by genuinely being very keen to do something interested. And she always tells me, I'm very proud that AXA is very active on healthcare. I'm very proud of you for having my father being in the healthcare delivery. And I think that's exactly what the generation, the new generation wants. They want us to be more responsible to this. So not to disagree with Romana and Thilo, but just to add another component to it, which is exactly to do it, but to also do it responsibly.
Yes, and with meaning. Things need to have their meaning as well. Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. It's the meaning behind.
So I suggest that we move on from the customers to AXA people. Now, how do you think T&D is impacting their life, everyday life? How do you see new ways of working? Can you give us perhaps some concrete examples? Thilo?
So may I start? In the past, there was the boss, and the boss decides everything. We were waiting for his decision, and when we continue to work. I mean, of course, it has changed in the last 10 years. But this, the thing that the world is changing so fast. When we talk, and Romana has given the example of telemedicine. In Germany, everybody said it's impossible. Now, it goes through the roof. And if the environment changes, we have to be much faster. So agile, different ways of collaborating. The kind of what is the front between us and them. Partnerships, and the kind weird customers, and AXA internal. All these things, these kind of barriers will arose. And I think we need to understand this, and to change our structure, the way we work, the way we are organized, and the way we deliver. And I think if we do that, learning from other companies who has transformed from being agile is one of the key things. We still need, similar profiles. We need actuaries, we need process people, we need, of course, tech people, and so on. We might need more data scientists. But we need people, who explain it to customers, like, service people, like agents. But we need to change our minds to be much more agile, much more service oriented, to be relevant, as Romana has said. If we don't achieve that, we will struggle, we will fail.
Okay, thank you. Could you, Hassan or Romana, could you give us some concrete examples, or Hassan, for example, best practices we can share, because it's always nice to learn from each other?
Well, from my point of view, with all this working at home experience that we had from March onwards, and that at Kiporenti, for instance, or other companies that I'm involved in, usually we have a very close relation So I know if my team, if they have kids, if they have a wife, they have a husband, how they live. So we have this kind of culture. But well, what I saw in these last months was people close to me telling me, I just realized today, and I was working with someone for the last 5 or 10 years, that my employee has a kid, and the kid just because the kid passed in the meeting, the online meeting that they were having. So in fact, this pandemic had a lot of issues, and is having a lot of issues in terms of economics worldwide, and socio-economics worldwide that are symmetric for everyone, because it's affecting all of us, and is the most symmetric of all. But at the same time is making us closer, because people are understanding that everybody have a home, and that everybody have the same needs, because they have their kids, and they all are coming for their dads or their moms, and can I have a sandwich, and I want my water, and look, I need some help here with my homework. And these are people are making people closer, and at the same time, not being at an office, for instance, is also making that the boss that Thilo was mentioning, in some organizations where things were not so agile, or people could have their responsibilities, are now having their responsibilities because they are not together, because they cannot control their schedules, and things need to be done if they want to survive, of course. So this agility that we need to have, this speed that we need to have, and the way we need to adapt to the market, make us look to things in a totally different way, and to adapt as fast as possible.
Okay, and Hassan, how do you think AXA people need to develop themselves, their competencies? Thilo mentioned we need more data scientists. So how do you see, how can we develop, how can we go further in our skills?
So first of all, I liked a lot what Thilo mentioned at the beginning when he said, let's make a difference between, humans and machines, and that machines will not replace humans, because you need the human interaction. So my advice to, I would say, especially a younger generation in AXA, is not to fear the change of technology and data, to embrace it. And I would advise each and every person who's doing a repetitive job to think twice, because repetitive jobs could be replaced by machines. Creativity, warmth, empathy, innovation, our ability to interact, our physical ability, laughing, crying, that will not be replaced by machines. So I would say, I would ask each and every person in AXA to think as a process engineer rather than a process owner only, because any repetitive process will be changed. But your creativity in making this faster, better, cheaper, quicker for your customer is not going to change. So the creativity behind controlling those machines will always be with you. For that, you need people to study algorithms. You need people who are data scientists. You need people who are more developers, who are more process engineers, who are more creative, who are more innovative. And these are the areas that I would invite the new generation to invest more on, because that's the future. It's not to do a repetitive job, but to create new processes for the future.
But Annette, may I add one thing? Big and data starts for everybody of us in our own head, okay? Because the thing is not, as Hassan has said, there is a lot of things will change. We need to accept that there will be changes. And then there's no need to fear. But if you don't accept that there will be changes, then we need to fear.
But we're all afraid of changes. I think this is humanity. So if you don't mind, thank you so much for all your answers. If you don't mind, we will move on to the Q&A session, because we have received many questions from our audience, and this is really good news. Thank you so much for these questions. So I will read here the first one. What is AXA doing differently to reshape the insurance sector regarding tech and data that will give them an edge and make them stand out in the insurance industry globally? Who would like to answer, Thilo or Hassan?
I think it's more a question to AXA in this case, and Romana is free to tell us her, external view of how we're shaping the future. But I think with Thilo, we're both working on very exciting health projects. And I would speak on, on both of our names, I would say, both, I would say touching the healthcare industry in a very different manners, but still, working a lot because we've identified this as a priority. I think COVID has never been, more telling on how much we've chosen the right industry to shape for the future. In Thilo's case, he can speak more about the platform that they have built, which is, an Amazon-like platform in Germany. All of us are extremely proud of this experience, and I would be humbly saying it, on his behalf, that we look very well on this experience. In our case, we've decided to enter to become a healthcare provider. Annette, this is an extremely bold move. Do not underestimate this move from an insurer to be a healthcare delivery provider, to jump on the idea of being a service immediately while risk is embedded, but the service itself is the one delivered. We recently signing currently an agreement with a large telecom operator in this country where our, teleconsultation service will be embedded within their ecosystem, which means that, people will experience it without the need to go outside. So I believe, these are just one example of many on the healthcare of how we're doing it. And I will invite Thilo to complement.
Yeah, maybe,
okay, but just short, because I would really try to take as many questions as possible. So, Thilo, if you can be short.
Two amendments. One thing, we are a profitable insurer, and we can invest hundreds of millions a year, to modernize our IT platform, make data available for data science. One thing. Second thing is, we are currently, working together across countries to build platforms. So this is something what you will see probably in mid of next year, if we can really show something. So this is really ongoing, and being part of a large group is an advantage for all entities, even for a large health insurance market or an entity like AXA Germany.
Okay. I will take the next question. Is 5G technology relevant for us as insurer, or more for the businesses and individuals we insure? And where and which areas will data lead to a situation where each risk has its own right price?
Okay, I can start. So my opinion is 5G is relevant for for business we insure, but not for ourselves, because the issue is not speed, on even moving data faster. That's probably not our main challenge what we have. Second question was, will it help, to give every risk an adequate price? Of course, every kind of data what we get, makes us better in pricing accuracy. But I don't think that the main issue currently is to tackle the right price. It's more like to delivering services. So pricing is one thing, but I think services is much more important issue to tackle in the next years. It helps, but it's not, I would say, not priority 1, 2, and 3 for me.
How to incorporate to our insurance product, to our customer, some fees to fund enterprise, to reduce the global warming and reducing our footprint. Tech and data means using more servers, more application, which impacts our planet.
Yeah. Hassan, do you want to take it, or should I?
And Romana, I think perhaps if you would like to. Yeah, go ahead.
Romana, please.
Perhaps,
yes.
And then Romana.
No, I mean our actions on global warming, on the climate, has been one of the most forward-looking amongst all the industry. I would say, I know it's difficult to speak about oneself, but I'm extremely proud to be in AXA because our CEO took extreme commitments when it comes to climate specifically, and to global warming. and to health as well. So these are the main topics, that are today, being faced by the world. To name a few, we stopped investing in coal a long time ago before anyone else. We're one of the few that actually counts our global warming footprint in every step of the value chain. We've put a lot of emphasis on this, even not only for us, but also for our partners, for our suppliers, and for the people we work with. So I would say on this, we work a lot with even our partners to understand better their footprint, and we count it, and we go on ranking. So I would say if tech and data then is increasing the footprint, then we will probably reimagine again the whole process of the way we do tech and data today. Today I see it more decreasing our footprint from the numbers I've seen in the past annual reports, but if we see it evolving on the contrary, we will definitely take reactive actions.
Okay, Romana, perhaps the next question for you. What is your view about how machine learning will improve the insurers on efficiency of operation and accuracy on accessing a claim via tech?
Well, it is already. We are using it already in all the claims, and we are using it already in the processes that make part of the claims of insurances. In our case, for instance, where people can contract an insurance through our app, whenever they need to claim that insurance, and they do it via our app to our partner, we use machine learning to check out a few usages, for instances in P&C, or for instance in some products as smartphones, tablets, computers. So these sciences, they are now part of the process. It's not something for the future. The future is the present that we are using it now. I believe that we are reshaping it in a way where we are using more and more, and we are developing in more areas and developing more services. But it is on usage right now.
Next question. So since we can use customers' data to predict their risks based on their behavior, usually for quotation, how can we use the data to help them prevent these risks from actually occurring? Thilo?
I give you an example. What we have done in Germany is a bowel cancer. So what we know is that normally, men doesn't go to a doctor for prevention. Women, if you ask them, do you go for prevention? They often say yes. More than 80% say yes. For men, it's the opposite, at least in Germany, and I think that's probably the same around the globe. So what we have done is we have sent a letter to all the men who haven't seen a doctor, and we have a full kind of, collection of all the invoices. And we could see that he hasn't seen a doctor to check whether there's a risk of bowel cancer. We sent a letter to 5,000 people and about 25 of them at the end had bowel cancer, and they could be, healed and nobody has died. So without this action, 25 of our people has a severe risk, and as you know, about 50% would be dead today. These kind of things are possible, and that's not big data, small data, but you can imagine a lot of different stories, and this is already possible. We can do that, and we always show that and mention that to our customers, saying, "Look, we do something good for you if you change, if we have the access to the data." As Romana said, we need to be trustworthy, and we need to prove that it's worth sharing the data, and we can already do that today.
Thilo, I have another question for you. So you have spoken about collaboration between insurance players with a great example in the health space in Germany. Do you see such collaboration between competitors possible in other geographies and or in other lines of business such as P&C?
Yeah, starting with geographies, it depends highly on the market. So the German private health insurance market is not highly consolidated. So we number 2 regarding number of full cover insured, and we have a market share of about 9%. So the market leader has about 20%. And we have markets where there are only 3 or 4 players, so it's a more oligopolistic structure, and there this might be different. So generally, yes, but it depends on the situation. In other areas, I mean, we collaborate in the corporate insurance space already together. And I think we should do that when we offer, let's say, risk services to others. But I think the main thing is that we accept that in some things we're best in class, and some others not. We cannot always be best in class and dominate a partnership. If you have a real partnership, you talk on the same eye level, you need to accept that sometimes you take service from somebody else. And that's, I think, the main issue we're currently facing, that insurers doesn't like to take services from other insurers because they always think they're the best. This is not the truth. If we change that, it's possible.
Okay, time is running out, so I will take here the last question. Can insurance regulation keep up with the pace of innovation? Perhaps Hassan and Romana?
Well, in many countries, and I had the pleasure to be in an acceleration program in the Netherlands in Startup Bootcamp. In many countries, they are creating sandboxes where the regulation is being adapted for startups. And yes, in those cases, things are really smooth for and adapted to the reality of startups. In Portugal, things are now currently also in a way that can flow in a more easy way. In our case, all the legislation that we had to take care didn't took us so long to do, but we also fight hard. So things really happened. And in a way, Annette, I have to say that the government, the big corporates, the insurance companies, reinsurance groups, they see the needs of having startups with them, and they see the value. And we are not competitors. We are here to work together for the customer, because we are all in here with the only one reason, that is the customer, to create more value for them. And that when we have this in common, we organize ourselves to work together.
Okay, thank you. And perhaps as a conclusion, I would like to ask you a bit more personal question. What would you dream of for the future of insurance in relation with T&D? Perhaps a short conclusion for everyone.
So I could maybe start here. So I would say, for me, I really dream of not being followed by what has been the legacy insurance. To really think, as if we just jump from another planet and look at how things are today, and to ask ourselves, does it make sense the way we do it today? And to start, sometimes from a complete white paper. And on this, I'm dreaming of creating, a healthcare system that is more equal, that is more empathetic, that is more inclusive for millions of people, at least in Africa, who could access healthcare differently in a way that allows them to live, with dignity and be treated, with the empathy and dignity they deserve.
Thank you, Hassan. Who will be next?
Well, I couldn't agree more with Hassan's words. Insurance itself is in the financial sector is the last product where technology and has the eyes on. So everybody is looking at it, and everybody is only talking about the future and what we had before and what we will have in the future, and always making a comparison in between. More than that is what we are building and what the customers need. And that's something we don't need to compare what was before and what it will be next. It is what is now. Of course, we need to take in consideration what we are developing for the near future, but we need to have always in mind that no matter what science we have, no matter what data we are organizing or analyzing, we are talking always about people. And when we're talking about people, we are talking about services. And that makes the whole difference. That's what we need to focus ourselves on.
Thank you. Thank you, Romana. Thilo.
I think, we will remain relevant if you want to stay relevant. The basis for that is that we use the beauty of data and health, which is really huge. And to concentrate our, human interaction of things will really matter, where, only the human being can make the difference. And if we are able to do that, then we will just have the kind of golden age of insurance, as Thomas Bull often says. If we don't, we will make redundant, but that's life. And I think we as AXA are in good shape to do that because we have understood that that's relevant, that's the change. And even you've seen, us and a lot of our people and all the employees, we know that we want to do that, and then we will make it.
Thank you very much, Thilo, Romana, Hassan. Thank you very much for all your questions. It has been a great moment, I think. Our webinar is over now. For this event, just know that a replay video will be available in a few hours with English and French subtitles. For AXA employees, Future Fest is not over yet, so many other digital events and tools are available to learn more. Don't forget the exclusive podcast of next Thursday at 4 p.m. CET. You will learn how artificial intelligence can revolutionize customer relations. So I was really happy and honored to moderate the debates of this webinar. Have a nice day and keep learning. Thank you very much for your attention and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.